It's September 16th, 2023, and welcome to episode 84 of the Babymetal podcast. We gather in the podcast Discord server now and again to discuss news and thoughts on the past and future projects of Babymetal. We invite you to join us, whether you're a longtime fan or have only just arrived. I'm Paul, and I am joined by Kevin.
Occasionally.
And Maggie.
On the every blue moon, potentially.
Yes. We had a blue moon, actually, just
recently. Actually, now that you bring that up. Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a super blue moon.
Oh, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Saw it. It was a quite a large moon. It didn't look really blue, mainly because I think we had a lot of like hazy cloud coverage where I was at, but it was really nice and was pretty.
Mm-hmm. It was brighter. I can't decide if it seemed bigger, but it definitely seemed brighter.
That too, yeah.
All right. So since the last time we recorded, I think all of us have been to some form of show. So there was the Metalverse unboxing that Kevin went to. Mm-hmm. And then the BABYKLOK tour began. And so the other two of us, Maggie and I, have been to one or more of those shows.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
So I think we will basically talk about that.
And I actually got to meet you, finally.
Yeah.
In person. Our fearless leader.
Yeah.
It was great.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
It's wild that it's been this long.
Well,
and you haven't met.
Well, small story. Technically, we were at a show together. We went to Charlotte in 2018, and I know for a fact that I have his signature in my Legend S book. But he did not know who I was, nor did I know who he was at that point. I was just a crazy lady in a costume, and he was just kind of like, "Oh, okay."
Yep, that sounds about right. That was the first show I went to, and it seemed a little crazy to have hopped on a plane, to go to a concert.
Never,
but yeah.
But so technically, we have met before, but not in a. Yeah. Oh, hey, I actually know you since until the other week.
Right. That was fun though. I have fond memories of that show. It was.
I do too. It was a good show.
I've forgotten his name, but someone was going around dressed as Mori Sensei, handing out cookies.
Oh, Babymetal. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. He still does that too. He's from what I understand, he's also planning on going on some of the UK tour and also bringing cookies over there too. So yeah, excellent. He's a good guy. He's really nice.
Cookies.
Mm-hmm. And his cookies are homemade and really good.
Yep. Yeah, I think if you follow him on that social network, you can see like photos of the cookies in being prepared and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, or at least sometimes he does that.
Yeah, he's well known for them.
But okay, that was 2018. Let's move. Yeah. Let's fast forward a little bit to closer to now.
Things are happening.
Yeah, exactly.
There's tours happening. Lots of interviews coming out that have been translated. That I'm sure we'll get to eventually, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
They're actually very well worth reading.
Yeah, absolutely. We will cover them eventually, I am sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But hey, you guys have been to some shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you want to talk about BABYKLOK first and Metalverse second, or how do you want to do this?
I think people want to hear the good stuff first, so let's start with BABYKLOK.
the less confusing part.
The less confusing part.
Yeah.
We are the Babymetal podcast, after all.
True.
That's true. So yeah, I guess the BABYKLOK tour began. It started August 30th in Houston, went to Dallas, Orlando, Atlanta, Nashville, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Wallingford, which is the one that we were at. Mm-hmm. They skipped September 10th, which was the Blue Ridge Rock Festival. Maybe we can talk about that.
Oh,
and then they were in Philadelphia and Boston, and I think just last night in New York City. So that's how far we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
halfway through, I think, at this point now. So
yeah,
no, are we
something? Yeah. Maybe not quite.
No, not quite.
Well, their last show is October 12th, so almost halfway.
Maybe halfway on the calendar, but
halfway on the calendar.
I don't think they're quite halfway on the number of shows yet.
Yeah,
fair assessment.
It's a lot. They're doing a lot.
in one of those interviews, they were speaking of this as basically like a run of 100 shows, not BABYKLok tour specifically, but the whole thing. And that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, this is the most I think they've done. I can't
imagine. I'm tired thinking about it. I'm tired thinking about just the little like long weekend I'm taking to do this tour in a month, which is still a month away, which is crazy.
Yeah. So which ones are you what are you doing? You're doing Aftershock in LA?
I'm skipping Aftershock because that's just not a fun festival. And it's logistically difficult. So I'm doing Vegas, Phoenix, and then the double header in LA.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, that's very easy travel.
Yeah. Might run into a few friends there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Especially the LA shows.
Speaking of friends, did you guys, I know you guys got stickers. Did you give a chance to get out any stickers?
I gave out some. Every person I gave it to, I sort of felt like compelled to apologize that I was giving them an ad.
Aw. You know the sad part about this, Paula? So I finally got the set of stickers from you. And now it's like every time I talk about, hey, we're doing a podcast, like yesterday, I was going out and buying shoes. And it just so happened this kid was standing there talking to his dad about, oh, hey, we should start a podcast. And he's like, well, what kind of podcast do you listen to? He's like, this kind of podcast, that kind of podcast. And I just happened to turn around. I was like, do you listen to music podcasts? He's like, oh, yeah. So do you know anything about it? I was like, oh, yeah, I'm part of this podcast. It's called Babymetal Podcast. And I had no stickers with me. And I felt so bad about it. I'm just like, that would have been a good time.
Well, that would have been
a very
now
funny
I know that I need to actually like have them in my purse,
always
my backpack,
on your person.
Always on my person. Yes.
You never know.
Because I've done it a few times too. We had a local fan convention at the end of August, and I was hyping it up there too. And I was like, I have nothing to show for it.
But I promise you, I'm really on it.
I do have them now, so they'll get passed out eventually.
Yep.
So I guess before I hear you guys' thoughts on the shows, I'd like to know more about the logistics, about how this double headliner thing works. I think we've made a lot of assumptions, and it might be good just to clarify the double headline logistics now that you've experienced it.
Okay, so as I know we've talked about it before, where there is a ton of different VIPs, and of course there's the general admission, seats, GA, what have you. So for the show that Paul and I went to, they were relatively organized, so that was really nice. Really, really great venue, great staff. They were all really, really nice on top of things. So from what I understand is that anyone with a Deathklok meet and greet and the sound check have to be there extremely early. Early being, I think for this show that we went to, it was like 2:00. So they have to get lined up. They have to check into your VIP thing, and then they go off and do their stuff. Then they go inside. They, do their sound check, and I don't remember them coming back out. Did they come back out?
Yeah, they did. They had to take because it is really kind of complicated because there are all these levels. But the first entry, Babymetal first entry VIP is actually the first group that goes in. Period. So anyone that went in earlier has to come back out.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't see them actually come back out. So okay, I assumed they were already in there at that point. But so then so they separate out the first entry, and then they separate out Babymetal Premier entry, which is second VIP 2, and then they have the general admission after that. So they had us lined up in 3 lines, we were allowed to be first in the building.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that was nice. But after that fact, I think will depend upon the venue that you go to, because the way that we were kind of hustled around was then after that, we went inside the building, which was this beautiful round rotundra. I think that's the terminology for it, the circular building. And there was drinks and merch and all this other stuff, but you had to go into a separate line to get a band to go down into the GA area. So if they saw that you had the first entry in the GA, then you go into line, that sort of thing. So we had to go do that. And then you were free to do whatever, but you had to be lined up by the door by 6 o'clock or so to get down to the GA. So, although they did separate us out later to be first entry GA after that. So then first entry got to go in down to the front, and then regular VIP 2 and GA got to go down after that. So yeah, so they do, or at least our venue at least kept in mind that there was these different VIP, but also bear in mind that venue was also run by Live Nation. So it's like,
what venue isn't run by Live Nation in the US?
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of them that's not.
But this tour is it is a Live Nation tour.
It is a Live Nation tour.
It is a Live Nation tour, but this specific venue was actually like bought and run by Live Nation. So they do let the Babymetal first entry in first, then Babymetal VIP second, and then I'm not really sure where they placed the Deathklok people. Then I don't know if they put in, because I don't know.
I think they were mixed in with VIP 2. I think that was all one group.
Yeah, because we had I know there was a VIP meet and greet person that was standing beside me during the show, and she and I believe her partner had barrier. So
yeah, now maybe this is a question for you, Paul, since you went to 2. In the past, Live Nation, and this has been the experience recently with Bandmate, is they're sending somebody along with the tour, or even a little team of 2 or 3 that follow the whole tour to manage the VIP systems at all the venues. Did you happen to notice if they had the same little crew?
Yeah.
Excellent.
There was one person, I think. I'm not sure that it was a crew, but there is a person who works for Live Nation and follows the tour around and kind of organizes everything.
Outstanding.
And clearly knew quite a bit more than the venue staff.
Yeah.
So, and they deferred to her. I mean, I think that made this work a whole lot better than other things in the past, because these are very complicated tiers. I mean, like, you know, there are 4 different kind of VIP before you even get to the thing like, you know, venues fast lane pass and, you know, GA. Yeah, she was quite organized. She was nice. I talked to her a little bit both times. But she just goes around and makes sure that the venue knows what's expected.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
So I hope they continue doing that.
That's definitely one of the best things Live Nation has done in the last few years, is adding the tour rep for all the VIP stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's still room for the venue to mess it up.
Absolutely. but I'm much less stressed about it now than I was prior to the rep, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah, understandable.
So, I mean, I guess one of the things you were wondering about was, or at least you were posing the question about, was kind of how this works as a co-headline.
Yeah.
Both of the shows I went to, it was Jason Richardson opened, and then, you know, in all of these shows, and then Deathklok went first, and then Babymetal went second. But at some shows that I didn't go to, and other ones that will happen in the future, the order is reversed. So Babymetal would go first, and Deathklok would go last. So that's the way in which it's kind of shared, is that they sort of trade off who closes it, and both groups have basically 1 hour set. So it's you know, it's it doesn't matter who's you know, second or third. It's the same length. So
were we able to confirm that the group photo on the digital ticket matches who's closing?
Well,
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, though, the one that I had was confirmed because Babymetal was on the ticket, and then Babymetal was last. So
yeah, you can look at your ticket, and if the photo shows Deathklok, then Babymetal's probably second, and second, like, of 3. And if the photo shows Babymetal, then they're
last,
third. Yeah,
got it. That makes sense.
So at the Wallingford show was the one that Maggie and I both went to, and it's kind of in the area of Yale University. So I think that was the idea of why they picked it, but it's actually pretty little venue.
Yeah, I mean, it was, but it was kind of off off to like the side of town a little bit. But it was a cute little area. It was very, very nice.
But it was out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, like the only thing that was sort of close was a gas station. It was a gas station. It had one bathroom, which like stopped working after a couple hours,
no.
or something. It was like, yeah. But, and I think this venue was not prepared for the kind of, fan group that this is.
Sure.
So, I mean, they have a parking lot. The VIP check-in, for, let's see. So yeah, Deathklok, meet and greet and sound check, I think, was at 2 p.m. and the first entry check-in was 4, I think. And, ahead of time people called and said, all right, well, so like, how do we park there? And they said, well, the parking lot opens at 3. Like, what? What are you talking about? and eventually it was sort of, they backed it up. I think they backed it up to like 1 or something like that because of course some of the check-ins were at 2. But, and we were thinking, well, of course, but we're going to be there at like, 7 in the morning, right? So I think I forget. I got there at 8 maybe, and there were 3 of us. I was the third to arrive, and the other 2 had come ahead of time. One of them is Sane here in the chat, and so Sane was V1,
Outstanding.
and got stuck with the marker.
Outstanding. What time did if you're here, Sane, what time did you arrive to get 1?
They were there when I got there, Sane and Dart, but
Typing.
so Dartaves was also there.
At 8. Wow, that's so late.
Yeah. But yeah, I got kind of a late start, and then I think I got a little lost. But anyway, but yeah, there was nobody there, so we parked and walked up to the venue and stood there for a little bit in the front, and then someone came out and said, we don't usually let people on the property in advance, but as long as you just stay out here in front and don't try to walk around the back, that's fine.
Yeah.
If we catch you walking around the back, you're out.
Well, that makes sense.
enough.
That makes yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm still not over 8 o'clock.
Why? Why is that?
That's so late.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to other shows and people that I've heard about stopping, I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, for the bandmate show that was it DC last year, I think people there were like at there like 6:30,
5:30,
something like that. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. I know I got there at like 7, so.
Yeah, that's wow. Okay, so maybe this is good to know. Maybe next time they swing through, I'm gonna pick the smaller ones on the East Coast, just to sleep in.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
because
like,
I know I'm gonna have to get to LA at like 4 a.m.
Ugh.
minimum, and I probably won't be first.
I think this was an unusual one because it is, it's kind of out in the boonies. It was a little place, so I'm sure that in the bigger cities like, New York and Boston and stuff, you had to be there much earlier.
I'm sure.
But one thing that was really cool about this particular venue, at least from my perspective, I mean, maybe not from everyone's, but is that the pit area was actually pretty small. I mean, it was shallow. So the goal, of course, at that show was to be on the barrier, and the hope would be that you wouldn't be completely smushed, right? And what was cool about this narrow pit is just that there's no way you can get that much pressure behind you because it's not deep enough. So that it actually was a fairly pleasant barrier experience for that because it's, I mean, there was a little pushing, but it really wasn't much.
Yeah, it wasn't super intense. Plus it wasn't sold out. The GA wasn't sold out, so it wasn't as full as it could have been. So that kind of made it nicer, and people were able to spread out a little bit more. So that was also helpful.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was really quite pleased with that. That experience. You still, once you get there, there's a lot of standing.
There's a lot of standing. A lot of standing.
Yeah. And they did, at a certain point, they did, like, send people around along the front, handing water back. So
Oh yeah, they did that a few times. It was really nice, like in between each of the sets, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's really nice.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I needed it. It didn't even feel all that hot, but nevertheless, it was cool that they did that, and
always take it.
They repeated.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, like I said, the staff was really nice.
Only a couple of crowd surfers.
Oh really? Oh, I didn't see it from my side.
Oh, the crowd surfers. Yeah, I had two come over me. But
oh boy, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So let's hear about the actual show now.
Oh boy.
Where to begin, eh?
Yeah. Well, I know Paul was more center.
Truly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little left of center. Maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 people left of center. So like when they're in a sort of compact formation in the middle of the stage, I was sort of level with the left, most of them. So that was a good spot, to see what was going on. Of course, they always have these big light cannons on the edge of the stage, which block a fair amount of the view in a particular range of angles. But it was still a pretty good spot. So, do we want to talk about the openers?
I don't see why not.
Before we get
I personally think that they're worth it for sure.
Yeah.
I know as far as like the audio in the building in and of itself, because Paul and I were on the barrier. So from some people, it sounds like just like sound issues were being had, like because it was overhead of the front. But I honestly think that there was a lot of actual audio issues with the venue in and of itself.
I mean, like even from the back, it would have sounded bad.
There was a lot of cutting in and out that I noticed happening, especially with Jason and Sue during their performances and stuff. I just couldn't hear Deathklok at all singing, but he sings at a lower pitch anyway. So there was some audio issues, but
just acoustically, there's an issue. There's, when you're thinking about these venues, when you're actually on the stage, things aren't really very loud. So they can hear. Sometimes there are monitors that they can hear, but most of the time they're listening through their ears, their earpieces, right? And so there's not actually a lot of sound on the stage. All the speakers are pointed away out into the audience, except the drums, right? Because the drums, they're just making noise. So like if you were standing on the stage listening, what you would hear is drums. And when you're on the barrier, a lot of times, basically the speakers are pointed out over your head. So like what you hear on the barrier is not that dissimilar to what you would hear on the stage. So that was definitely a strange aspect of this. So Jason Richardson is a, guitar virtuoso and, does very fancy things with his fingers on the guitar. But like what I could see, like I saw he was wiggling his fingers pretty fast, but I couldn't hear a thing he was doing.
Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate, but yeah, when you could hear him, he was very, very good. Very good.
Yeah. And I mean, so I have the benefit of having heard him twice from 2 different positions in 2 different venues, but I was further back in Boston, and even there, I think they just didn't. Whoever's mixing him has made a poor decision, I think, because he played with a backing track. So he's like, he was playing with pre-recorded drums. He records a lot with Luke Holland on drums. And so like, it's a lot of just basically his studio backing, and then he played his part over top. But he was mixed way too low. So like you couldn't, even when it was appropriately, even when all the speakers were pointed at me, I still couldn't quite hear him very well.
That's too bad.
That was unfortunate.
It was,
but he is very good.
Very good. He's also a very nice person. After his performance, which it did start, I think, about 15-20 minutes late. So because the show was supposed to start at 6:30, and I don't think he got on stage till about 6:45, 6:50, something like that. So it did start a little late, which is fine, no big deal. But so after his performance was done, I social media'd saying, hey, at Jason.
You did a Twitter.
I did a Twitter and messaged him. Thank you for your performance. It was really awesome. And he actually responded. He did the little like thank you praying hands thing. So he responded back. So it was really nice. So
awesome.
Yeah, he seemed like a really good dude on stage too. He's like, who's here for Babymetal? Who's here for Deathklok? Like, he's like, no, he just seemed very chill. Very, very nice guy.
Yeah, he was pretty. He seemed pretty friendly. He's pretty humble about it. There's a. When he played, he has a couple of albums. One called 2 and one called 1. One came out first, but and so he played a couple songs from 2, and then he switched to 1, and he said, he said, all right, well, I'm going to play this song. It's like ridiculously difficult. Like the other ones were fast, but this is ridiculous. Like, but I'm going to try it anyway. So here we go. and then
He's
and
like,
it is. He's not wrong. That's Titan is what that one's called. But
yeah, he's just like, I think I like pain some sense of a way. He's like, I don't know why I did this to myself, but hey, whatever.
Yeah. And he threw out his pick, there's a point in one of his songs where he was like, he sort of finishes his rapid part, and then he sort of finger picks the rest of it. It's the song's not quite over at that point, but like he broke in the middle of the song, threw his pick out in the audience, and then continued, which I thought was pretty. I don't know. It was a nice effect. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I approve of him.
Awesome.
I do too.
It takes a little bit of getting used to like it's. It's not super easy. It's not super danceable.
Sure,
but it's impressive.
It's a jive for sure. Yeah. Just sit and vibe out to the music. It's really good. Mm-hmm. I know. I always say, and I would recommend it for sure if none of you have heard of them. But he very much sounds along the lines of like Animals as Leaders. So if you like Animals as Leaders, you'll definitely like Jason Richardson for sure. So I would recommend checking him out. He's pretty cool.
Awesome.
I actually had come across him before I knew about this tour and all that stuff, because he did a collaboration, sort of a pretty small collaboration with, what's his name? Tim Henson from
Polyphia. Yeah, he even mentioned that during the show too. He's like, oh yeah, Babymetal knows these guys from Polyphia. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically a Jason Richardson song that Tim Henson came in and did like a little bit of, and then so in the video is actually pretty funny because it's like the setup is like a arcade, like a video game, like an arcade game, sort of, I don't know, one of those music games where you're like hitting buttons to make the notes, and so on the screen is Jason Richardson actually playing, and then at the console he's hitting the buttons to make it go. Nice. And then Tim Henson kind of walks up, does a little bit and then pieces out. It's a pretty funny video, but anyway, I knew that song from that video, and then it turned out this was the guy, and I guess they know each other at least enough to make that collaboration. Mm-hmm. So
I have a Deathklok question.
Yes.
Is it true they play completely in shadow and you're just watching the screen while they play?
Relatively. Yep. Yeah, the lights are extremely dim. You can see they have probably a little bit of red lighting in the back just to kind of give an effect. But yes, they do not have any lights on them until the extreme very, very end of it. The whole entire point of their show is to watch the screen.
Watch the cartoon.
Yep.
Watch the cartoon. Yeah. Because they are supposed to be Deathklok, the cartoon.
Right.
They are the voices behind it, which actually was really neat because I don't know, like, I'm familiar enough with Metalocalypse to be, oh, hey, here's these 5 different characters and stuff. But apparently Brendan Small, who's the leader of the Kit and Caboodle, also voices all 5 of those guys. And he did during one of the breaks, the lights were still down. And so he started talking to the crowd in all 5 of the different voices. It was quite hilarious, actually.
I didn't realize that was one guy.
It's all one guy. I didn't realize it either. But yeah, it's all Brendan Smalls doing all those voices.
Interesting.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a little awkward because I know Saint's talking in chat right now, and I totally agree. It was a little weird to not watch the band and try like to not semi pay attention to the screen, but like eventually you're like, you probably should just continue to watch your screen, which brutal is definitely in descriptors for a lot of that. Oh my gosh. Like I'm, like I said, familiar with Metalocalypse, and I know it's kind of a little violent and brutal, but I was not expecting that at the concert, I guess. I don't know why.
Yeah, I guess that's an
well, I mean, I
guess that's an interesting
it's comical kind of, but
it is comical a bit,
it's just,
yeah, I guess that's something I've seen being talked about, and I was wondering what your guys' thoughts are. Babymetal appeals to really all ages, all people, right? And we've all seen 5, 6, 7-year-old kids at Babymetal shows. What are your thoughts on Deathklok and Metalocalypse and their presentation?
It was definitely not kid friendly. Although they did kind of mention that during the voiceover thing that he was doing, Brendan Smalls was doing. They were throwing a lot of MFers words around, and he's like, wait a second, you have to wait up because we've got Babymetal fans in the crowd. He's like, we're friends with Babymetal, so we don't want to make them upset. It was actually kind of funny.
That's amusing.
Yeah, I think it's still, but it is, I mean, if it would be a little bit disappointing if you were a parent, bringing your 10-year-old or whatever. I mean, I guess I would kind of hope that they knew in advance what was happening. Right. Like either Babymetal plays first and they leave, or they, go in late or something.
Yeah.
But there was actually in Boston, there was I don't know ages, but I mean, it was, something like a 10-year-old, little cosplay girl walking around, wearing the sort of like red and black. Yeah,
there was a couple girls at the Wallingford show, I know, but I don't know what time they arrived. I just knew that they were there after the fact, and it was so adorable because they were I saw them leaving, and they had like the oversized Babymetal shirts on, and it was just so cute from the tour. It was adorable. But yeah, so it's definitely Deathklok definitely is not appropriate for young kids. Of course, obviously, talk to your kids beforehand if you plan on bringing them to see them. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's really interesting that they decided to tour with them. I didn't expect. I mean, I guess they were matched musically, so that part I understood. I was like, okay, this makes sense. But I had to kind of wonder now in hindsight if they knew what Deathklok's like image was on stage, and then I kind of wonder what their thoughts in hindsight would be.
Yeah,
I honestly don't see Koba just going into something blindly. I really don't. Like, I feel like he would have done
not
his
by
research.
Choice.
Really?
Well, yeah. Well, what I'm saying is I don't think he would go in blindly by choice. He would do his due diligence, but if they weren't expecting Deathklok to be as age inappropriate as they are for some of their fans that they know, if they didn't know going in, I wonder what they think about that now.
I mean,
at least it's a cartoon, it's not, the imagery is all drawn, at least.
Sure.
Yeah. It was still somewhat disturbing.
Yeah.
Interesting to be sure.
But it's ridiculous,
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous and occasionally hilarious in its ridiculousness.
Right.
Yeah, that's very true.
But
and I didn't really go in knowing songs except for one, the Mermaider song. This is the only one I knew, like off the top of my head, like almost word for word. But they do have some bangers. Like they do have a couple of like really good songs that I was just like, oh, this is kind of sick. I like this. And so I just so happened to have a Deathklok fan standing beside me. I'm like, I took recordings. I'm like, okay, what song is this one? And this was played right afterwards. What song is this one? And they told me what they were, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go look them up. This is pretty neat. I'll add it to my playlist.
Nice.
I haven't done it yet, but yeah, I mean, musically, they're very well good. They're well put together. Of course, like I said earlier, you couldn't really hear Brendan because he sings at such a low, that sort of sound. So you couldn't really hear him over everything else, unfortunately, what his words were. Albeit some of the lyrics were up on the board, which was nice. Not for all of them.
Yeah.
And then they're just, and from what I understand, they're just a bunch of just nice people. There's a lady who was playing the basically second lead guitar, aside from Brendan, and I cannot remember her name, and I feel bad for that. But she was really good. She was really, really good. And like I said, they just all seemed like really, really nice people, and they were always tweeting out social media stuff. Like, hey, we're so happy to be with Babymetal. We're touring with these guys. They're always hyping up. It just, like I said, they just seem like a good group of people, and totally worth watching if you're into that sort of thing. So, yeah,
awesome.
Well put together, in my opinion.
I think it's the drummer who regularly puts a audience photo on at the end of each show, so they'll like take a selfie with the audience, basically.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, we were in that one. I know. At least I found me and my husband in our group photo, so that was pretty cool. I feel like you might have been hidden away in that group photo. I didn't see you, Paul. I was trying to look for you. I didn't see you. Yeah.
Well, I think the thing is that it's so. I think I know where I am, but the resolution is pretty bad.
I mean, yeah, it was, but also something cool that the drummer does is he does like drumming art, apparently. Like he plays the drums and like somehow it makes some kind of like picture. I don't know how he does it per se, but some of his drumming art is actually quite cool too. So putting that out there.
I did not know that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
So we were 40 minutes here, and you haven't even talked about the Babymetal stuff. So,
yeah.
So, yeah, Babymetal. I did no recording. I took no pictures. I just vibed with it. It was great to see them. It was just so good to see them again. It was fun, and my husband had fun too. It was really exciting. I asked him. I was like, "So, what did you think?" He's like, "This." Pretty good. I like it.
Nice.
I'm like, yay.
That's good.
So, yeah.
Caved in eventually and wanted a shirt.
Amazing.
Yes. Yep. Got a shirt. So we're good on that. We'll talk about the show first. Sorry, I'm trying not to get off on a tangent. So of course, Babymetal Death, they played, oh gosh, Babymetal Death, Gimme Chocolate, Distortion. Albeit, I think there might have been an audio issue with Distortion because they might have started it a little earlier than they should have because the girls weren't on stage at the point of when they did the dun 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 dun, that part. So they held it out for a bit before the girls came back on, and then they started performing it after that. That was what seemed to be the only issue, other than the audio issue of the mic going in and out.
Oh, I didn't actually notice whether they did that again. I should have paid attention whether they did that
Boston?
again with the Distortion. Yeah, because it does seem like that's the kind of thing that, because a lot of that is pre-recorded. I think that's actually before the band even comes in. So I wonder how easy it is to loop that on the fly, like if they need to stretch it out. Maybe it is. Maybe they can just say, repeat that section a couple more times while we get, the hair straightened out or whatever's happening backstage.
Right.
There was Papaya though, in between. We skipped over that, but maybe.
Yeah, Papaya was in there. Everyone had, thanks to Mike.
Yeah, Mike the Jake. Yeah,
Mike the Jake. He passed out towels, which I also need to put out a public apology to him because I feel like I might have yelled at him a little bit earlier because there was a couple of the staff who was running around for the venue, and he stopped by. They stopped by, and he's like, "I see you guys got some like towels or whatever. Can we have a couple of those?" And I was like, "Hey, Mike!" And he just kind of like looked at me. I'm like, "These guys want a couple of towels," and he just like, "Okay." And so I felt kind of bad about that because I was like overly excited. I was just like, "Oh God, these guys want Babymetal towels. This is great for Mike." And so I felt really bad about it because at hindsight, but I'm sure he was okay, but I still feel bad about it. But so yeah, there was a lot of people with towels.
Awesome.
So thanks. Yeah.
Just to think about the towels, so these were the same towels. No, the same person who made the towels back at the forum show, and he screen prints them all like himself. You know, so you can see sometimes he'll post like he had a photo of like his basement or something. You know, it's just like all towels hanging there. And he was giving them all out to people, you know, throughout the day as leading up to it. And so what that means is that at the barrier, everybody during Papaya had these yellow towels that are, you know, that say Papaya on them. So that was pretty cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was great. So now I have an official Mike the Jake towel. I'm pretty excited. I didn't get one in LA when I went. I gave it to my friend who was with me, and she didn't realize that I didn't have it. I was like, look, I got one. She's like, wait, I thought you got one in LA. I was like, no, I didn't. So I was like, I have one now. Now my husband has one too, which is great.
Amazing.
I think he was there. He was like V6, I think. He was there for a lot of the day.
Yeah, he was there for a good bit. But so yeah, Papaya happened. The Switch Out song, they did Mirror Mirror for our show, which was cool. And then of course they did Monochrome and Bird of Resistance. They did Headbanger. I feel like I'm missing something. I can't remember.
Megitsune.
Yeah, they did Megitsune. Which
and Metali.
Yeah. Oh, and of course Metali. Yeah. Man, it's only been a week. But hey, I was having fun. That's what matters. Yep. During Megitsune, I don't know. I think they were trying to like get Momo to start kind of leading up to doing the funny stuff. And so you see like Momo shaking her head just slightly at Moa. And so like Moa does these like hand claps above her, like finger snaps above her head. It was really cute. And she just quickly runs away. And Momo's just like, what in the world?
Yeah, it was pretty funny that like there's this I think we all just in case people are not aware of this, there's a section in Megitsune where like Sue's behind the mask, you can't see her face, and there's a running joke that everyone's trying to like essentially make her laugh, right? And so Moa particularly, but you know Moa and whoever will usually just do something, and I think it's a surprise to Sue what happens, you know, what they're going to do. I don't think they reveal it ahead of time, but there's always something, you know, they say something, or in this case, you know, Moa did this little like particular dance move, but you know, very rapid and then took off. But you could see Momo Metal was like leading up to that, she was cracking up already. Like, you know, she hasn't mastered the straight face yet. Yeah,
no. And the reason why I think that she's supposed to be trying to lead this whole gag now is because I think it was either in Boston or New York City last night. I can't remember which one, but you could see her like laughing and just is like, you could tell that she's like, I can't do this. And so Moa did something real quick. And she's like, I'm sorry. It was great. So I hope maybe someday we'll see Momo Metal do some kind of funny something sometime. But the thing is that I know that like Sue looks at Moa, so that's kind of where all that started from.
Some light hazing.
Yeah. But yeah, overall concert, great. Girls seemed to be in high spirits. It was awesome. I had an unexpected interaction with Moa, which was pretty cool. And now there's a part in Distortion where the clapping happens, then like in between. Yeah. They actually split off to the sides of the stage, and you know, Sue's like, "How y'all doing?" Da, da, da. Moa comes over to my side, and because I was standing what would be considered stage right, with my husband obviously to my left, and so I'm obviously faced away from him, towards the stage, looking at the stage. So Mo's coming over, clapping her hands, you know, doing the ear thing, like, I can't hear you, and, you know, clapping her hands. She starts going back towards center, still clapping a little bit. Then she comes back, stops directly in front of me. No, like, I'm not doing anything except for just clapping. And she looks directly at me. She grabs onto her hair pieces and kind of like gives me this confused look, like slightly tilting her head. It just looks directly at me because I had the same hair gems in my hair as they do. I had they're big and shiny and stuff, and I had the clipped, and so I looked at her like, and so I grabbed onto mine and I smiled at her like, yeah, we got the same. And she just tilts her head over to me and just smiles and just walks away. And I'm like,
awesome.
It was completely unprompted too. So she interacted with me, and that was great. And I'm just grinning like an idiot right now. And I turned my head to my husband. He just is smiling at me because he sees what happened, and I start crying like a baby because And then at the end of the show, we had a younger crowd around us, and there was a couple of ladies who were standing behind us off to my right. And one lady was like, oh man, they put on a really good show. And she turns to me, she's like, and it was so cute with that one girl interacted with you. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it happened. Thankfully, someone did actually get a recording of it that they were standing kind of off to my right. They happened to catch a recording of it. Not the response she gave me afterwards, but you could see her grabbing her hair pieces. So I have proof that it happened.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool. It was exciting. It made my night.
Yeah.
It still obviously makes my day too. So yeah, I was not in cosplay. I was not able to get my costume finished. Personal energy I do not have currently because holy crap, trying to sew vinyl to like other fancy material is not fun at all. It's extremely difficult. So I did not get the costume done. So I dressed up like in black and had frillies and the hair pieces in my hair up and all this other stuff. So but yeah, that was my highlight of my night.
Incredible.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
It's cool that they do that. I mean, they've got to know that they're just like making people's day, you know?
Oh yeah,
I'm sure they do.
Well, and I did get to do like half hearts with Momo. So I did put the half heart up, and she did the other half with me. So that was cute. I had no picture of that, but that's fine. It's okay. But yeah, she was doing that. She was doing like the little thumb finger hearts to people and the big head hearts, and here I am sitting behind a mic. Nobody could see me, and I'm physically doing these things.
Yeah, of course you are.
But yeah, she was just in it with the crowd. She was waving at everybody. Moa was waving at people. It was just, yeah, they are very, very in tune with the crowds this tour for sure. Very interactive, a lot more like, hey, I see you, you know, waving you directly, especially Moa noticing if someone has a camera, like she will ham it up for the camera. She did some kind of, I think they call it like a takoyaki cheeks or something. She did that to somebody last night in New York City. Like she stood there, she saw the video, and just kind of like put her fingers up around her cheeks and did that thing, I guess, for like a second. So yeah, they're very, very interactive this tour. That's for sure.
Incredible.
Very happy.
Yeah. And also sort of checking the balconies and stuff like that. It's not just the people right in the front row too.
Oh yeah. I know there was one video where there was a young girl standing on the balcony and she was waving, and you could see that Mo was waving directly at her. So that was really cute. And the girl was, of course, ecstatic. You know, this is a little young kid. So it was, yeah, it's been really nice. It's really nice. But yeah, this show was really good.
It was, yeah. And there, you know, of course, people have been following along, posting fan cams and things like that, and so there's various little things that have happened at shows, even if they weren't at ours. So one thing that's happened kind of recently, a couple of times, I think, is that someone has had, like in the case I'm thinking about is someone had a little like plushie, some sort of like little stuffed animal, and Moa actually like beckoned to the person to like throw it to her. And so she's accepted a couple of things.
Yeah.
The person threw it. The person threw it, and it fell short and like into the barrier space. And Moa like made this little pout, and the security person handed it to her. So,
Amazing.
Yeah.
So she did in fact get it.
That's awesome.
And she also got a bracelet. I think was another fan gift that she got. That she put. I saw the video. She put it off onto the side of the stage real quickly before starting up the dancing and stuff again. So that's nice. That's really
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
It's one worries just a tiny bit that people might go overboard with this, but it is it's pretty cool. There's also a little before that. There was it seemed like this was somewhat traumatic for Moa, but she like in Road of Resistance, there's a point pretty early on where they sort of like plant their flag. And she, in the process of doing that, like clonked a security person on the head.
There's a great video of that, yeah.
Yeah. What actually happened is that the flag portion of it, not necessarily the pole, but the flag itself scraped the guy on top of the head is what happened. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a further descent.
Mortified.
Yeah. Oh, it was cute, but also you really felt bad for her because you could tell that she was really, really upset about it.
Yeah, she's like, she apologized to him, and then like later came back to him and said like, look, I apologized again.
Yeah.
All of this, you couldn't hear it, but I mean,
you can see her mouthing Sumima Sen to the guy. She's just pouting. It was just
incredible,
so sad.
Yeah. So. Very well handled, at least, even if it was not something she wanted to have happen.
And actually,
and the next show after that, they did that portion of the choreography very far back from the front of the stage.
Yeah, there was like I said earlier, they were at New York City Hammerstein Ballroom last night, and it was interaction with the security. Someone had a video, and I can't remember what portion. Oh, it was Medley, actually.
Yeah, right. It was the sitting down part.
Momo was coming across and was clapping, and you heard Sue sit down, and so they were motioning everybody to sit down. So was the security guard. The security guard was like, everybody get down. and you could see Momo kind of like looking at him a little bit, and then he starts going off and giving like little crowd hearts to everybody, and she starts walking back and just kind of turns her head while she's walking back with this huge smile on her face, like, what is this guy?
Amazing.
But it was kind of adorable though, because the guy was being very interactive and was like, everybody get down. It was really cute. So props to the security guy at Hammerstein Ballroom. You're awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. A lot of the other, sort of security people that I saw were just stoic,
Mm-hmm.
Though actually the ones in Wallingford they seemed pretty nice, pretty cool.
Oh yeah, they were really chill. Actually, one of them, somebody had been talking about the stage, and I couldn't really hear the conversation, and I saw them lift up the little curtain in front of the stage, because the stage sits up a little high, not super high, but they would lift up a curtain doing whatever, and I was just like, well, wait a second. So I texted on my phone and showed it to the security guard. I was like, is this an orchestra pit? And so then we got to talking about the theater and stuff, and how they like build it and adjust it to the needs of the thing, and we were just chit-chatting for a good like 10-15 minutes. It was really fun. It was great. They were good.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, that stage at Wallingford was pretty low. I don't think it's the lowest one of the ones that they've been on so far, but it was quite low.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Maybe sort of like chest height on a security guard.
But they put a leveler on the top of the stage to bring out, and it is they have an orchestra pit for like big musicals and stuff when they need it, so they take that front portion off so that way they could sit the orchestra down into that area to perform for other shows, which is cool. Theater geek here.
Maybe I could say just a couple of things about the Boston one. So I went to Wallingford and went to the barrier, and then at Boston I decided that partly due to the sound issue. I kind of wanted to have a seat, somewhere where the speakers were pointing at me, so that I could actually get the mix that they were sort of intending. So I had a pretty decent seat in the first balcony up at the front, so there wasn't much of anyone in front of me. Also, the thing is that, like, it was a Thursday, so I was working and I couldn't really go in the morning, so I had to kind of show up late. I got there for VIP check-in, but not much before that. And so the Wallingford experience was, I just enjoyed myself a lot more at that one, being able to spend the whole day and all that. Kind of showing up late like that in Boston kind of meant that I sort of didn't interact with anybody, in the audience. And then so actually in Boston the pit was much larger and it was pretty active. So I saw a lot of people sort of commenting on the fan cams and things, and being pretty impressed with it, just how lively the whole sort of pit area was in Boston. But up in the seats, nobody was doing anything. I mean, everybody was seated. I did not stand up because no one else around me was standing up, and if I stood up, I would force them to, because I was sort of in the front. That was a little bit disappointing. I'm glad I could hear them. I'm glad I could see them from that. I had the ability to kind of like get up and leave and come back and that kind of thing in a seat that I would not have had at the barrier. And I think actually the Boston barrier, the Boston pit is so deep that I would have been more worried about being crushed there. But yeah, it was. I was still a little surprised about the lack of any sort of like movement in the seated area. Everybody did get their phones out and do the monochrome thing, but yeah, it was. I mean, I'm glad I went to both. I think it was a kind of a good experience to have both the barrier and the good seat. I think. Oh, actually, the other thing that was annoying about the Boston one is it's for anybody who knows anything about like baseball. Boston has this baseball stadium, Fenway Park, and there's a historic rivalry between the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees, and the venue for this concert is attached to that baseball stadium.
Oh, interesting.
And there was a Red Sox Yankees game at the same time, sort of getting in and getting out at the same time.
Oh, that makes a little bit more sense as to the comment from Deathklok. Okay. I didn't realize that. I knew that they said that there was a game going on, but I didn't realize what game it was.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was, the concert goers were kind of outnumbered by the people who were going to the baseball game, in that whole same area. But, it worked out all right. I mean, like, it was probably pretty difficult to get home for people who, like, I work very close to there, so I just parked at work.
Nice.
So that was not a problem, but I think trying to take the public transit out would have been a mess.
Probably, yeah. Considering the popularity of that rivalry.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, it was pretty great. The seat takes a lot of pressure off if you're worried about that
absolutely.
in any future show. Having a seat, you can come whenever you want to, and you can get the merch, right at the beginning if you want. I had a pretty weird situation there, which was I had too many tickets. Basically, I had a VIP 1 ticket, but I didn't want to be in the pit, so I went in and bought merch and like took a picture of the floor and stuff like that, and then left and went to my seat. And they, I couldn't get to my seat for a while because they hadn't let those people in yet. But so that was also a kind of a weird experience, but. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. That's not the frugal option.
Yeah.
Yes. The merch is cool. The poster's
It
cool.
is. Yeah.
T-shirts were neat. I did get a poster.
Nice.
Number 1996. Pretty awesome.
Nice.
Excited.
Nice.
Have it all framed up. I haven't put it up on the wall yet. But yeah, merch is pretty cool. Worth getting.
Awesome.
So do we want to pivot to Metalverse?
Metalverse, yeah.
We can.
Talk to us, Kevin.
It may not be this, involved, but we're curious what your experience was.
Yeah, really.
The experience was, it's fun. It's always fun going to concerts, right? As we've just described. This was an interesting one. This when they kind of debuted, and I talked about it on the show after, what was that? Makuhara
Summer
Messe.
Sonic.
Oh, no, even back then.
That debut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back when we were like, what is this? And we, figured out who they were and all that stuff. Then they appeared again at P Arena MM. I was like, God, they're going to do this for real, because they teased it at the end of that. It's like they're going to do something. This is an actual spinoff. I was like, I'm going to have to start saving so I can come back and go to this thing. Because how often do you get to kind of be in on the ground floor of a group and go to their first real concert?
Right, exactly.
The Babymetal equivalent, being white t-shirt guy.
Right.
Way back in the day, right? At their very first live. So I was like, shoot, I have to go do this. Plus it's an opportunity to go, see performers up close that I hadn't had a chance to previously go see up close before, thanks to the pandemic and all that stuff. So yeah, just kind of on a whim. It's like, screw it. I'm just going to go. I'm going to do it. I did win the lottery for the second night and was able to tactically secure a ticket for the first night. So I did get to go to both nights, which was very nice, because going all that way and only getting one night in is less than ideal. I would have still been very happy, but if I'm going to go there, I'm going to do everything I can to get both nights. So that worked out. This is my first time at O East. That place is pretty tiny. It's
oh really?
it's in Shibuya, and there's like 6 concert venues all within like a square block. And there was other concerts going on all at the same time. So that street that all of this stuff is on was insane. It was just packed.
Oh man.
It was packed. It was packed full of people. There was like a huge idol show right across the street next to the one Konbini that was near everything, which sold out of everything really quickly in the day. So yeah, it was kind of cool just being among the little venue area. I didn't get a chance to get merch or anything on the first day because I got my ticket about, 20 minutes before I walked in. I managed to get the ticket. So I didn't get a chance to get merch or anything. I got that on the second day. But yeah, first day. Didn't really know what to expect going in. Of course, we had an idea because we saw them at Summer Sonic. We knew they had original content. So I thought that was a safe bet. They're going to play their original stuff. We already knew what the lineup was from Summer Sonic, because I think the odds of them swapping it out in just a couple of weeks would have been pretty darn low. So we knew who we were going to see, which was really exciting. I'll just mention it again, whereas when they appeared at the Babymetal shows, there were 3 of them. Miko Takada is the lead singer, Kimura Sakia and Koko Nakato. They added 2 more people, 2 more girls, former SG members, Yagi Miki and Yume Nozaki, which was spectacular because I never got to see them perform live. So that was really exciting going into it, getting a chance to be at this was about 1,000-person venue. So really pretty close to the stage. I didn't have great numbers, but being, a tall Western guy, I'm able to see over pretty much everybody. So even, 3/4 of the way back, or about halfway up, still very, very close to the stage, which was a little surreal for me.
That's cool.
yeah, definitely checked some boxes. It was very cool. It was very emotional to finally get to do that. But yeah, the show, honestly, it felt like a Babymetal concert. Same playlist or similar kind of music playing pre-show. Concert opened with Lore. Of course it did, right? Kami band, the same Kami band, the Western Kami band was on stage. I can talk about the lore a little bit. I didn't transcribe it one for one, but I kind of have the gist of it. And it's nothing, we didn't learn anything new, but just to summarize, what we saw was only going to happen once. It will never come again. The elements we're seeing today create a new story. The past, the future is all connected. A new story begins. That kind of thing. It's the same kind of stuff they did in their teaser video, which is on YouTube. And I think they played it at Summer Sonic too. But yeah, we got all the songs they played at Summer Sonic, plus 2 new ones we hadn't heard before. Best described as an even poppier version of Babymetal, but I will say, hearing them live, they still go pretty hard. You know, there's a reason they're still a commie band. Mm-hmm. Definitely much lighter in tone, maybe even compared to the first Babymetal album, the self-titled album, even lighter in tone if that were possible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely embrace that poppy side and kind of lean more into that idol vibe. Choreography, excellent. You know, one of the things we complained about during the Dark Ages was all the extra people on stage for Babymetal. And I think that's because they just didn't use them very well. I was able to, you know, buy into all 5 of these people on stage right from the outset. Their choreography was designed from the ground up for 5 people, and that was very obvious. It was very well done. It was very cute. It was very expertly performed and very refined. Super fun. And I honestly thought all the songs were really fun. I think my favorite of the bunch is the one that has a swing feel to it.
That seems to be the consensus opinion. Everybody seems to like that song like best. Didn't they play that twice?
They played it twice. They played it as the encore song. So they played the 3 songs plus a new one to open the show. So they opened with 4, and then we got some more lore, which is exciting. You know, they all leave the stage, and, you know, lore video starts playing. Commie band leaves the stage, which was weird. Lore man starts doing his thing and closes with, they're going to bring out a new god. The god of DJ appears. And Lore man says, shall we dance? And then I don't know if you remember, but when they introduced the commie band, they were in a similar venue. There's like a side stage that's at about a 45-degree angle to the main stage, and the crowd just kind of off to like stage left, crowd right. And these big doors open up, and sure enough, there are 2 commie people in there with masks in the same robes as the Western Commie Band with a DJ setup, and they just start throwing out house beats. And start doing a DJ
cool.
set.
That is great.
Was actually a lot more hype than I expected. And there's a reason they brought the DJs in to do this, of course, and that's they covered 3 more Babymetal songs, but they were DJ house remixes. So the commie band didn't come back out. They played solely to the DJ in the backing track and did Doki Doki Morning, Gimme Chocolate, and Karate. Which I the house mixes were really good. I'm not a house person, but I was shocked at how well constructed and how good it sounded as a house remix. I was like, I can get into this. These are bops. These are fun. And it was really cool just to kind of hear a new take on stuff I'd listened to, you know, hundreds and hundreds of times before. So it was oddly refreshing, actually. And of course, they were all exquisitely performed by everybody involved. You know, Miko's really a superstar. It's pretty clear why she was chosen to kind of be the front woman for this, because she can do it. You know, it's still obvious she doesn't have the experience that Sue does, right? But there's no doubt in my mind she could get there. No doubt in my mind she could get there. Yeah, really, really good. They closed the DJ set with another new song. We got some more lore. Paraphrasing again here. There's no correct answer for Metalverse. The story creates the next story, creates the next verse, and so on. When Metalverse appears again, will become new Metalverse elements. That kind of thing. So I guess that kind of goes to what we've been speculating on, that, you know, this is very much a fluid project. And one of the interviews we'll cover later, you know, Koba mentions this a little bit, that it's just kind of a side hustle. They're kind of experimenting. Don't try and put reason to it, because you're going to fail even more so than you would with Babymetal.
Yeah, that little chunk is in the PMC 29, but he says essentially like Metalverse isn't a group like Babymetal, but it's more of a project. So the idea is to make sure that all the elements, including the artists, creators, designers, choreographers, and the fans come together to form this Metalverse. That's the vision. I think that was a direct quote from Funny Toss's translation.
If it's not a direct quote, it's really close.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty close.
So it sounds like, you know, I sort of feel like maybe I have a better idea, kind of. Not that I can predict what's going to happen next, but at least I can see what the concept is supposed to be.
Yeah, I've said this before. It just seems like a creative outlet. We know that Koba has a little black book of songs that's very deep that they pull from. Like, they still release stuff that was conceptualized, 10, 12 years ago. And this could be just a creative outlet for that kind of stuff. It also gives the Amuse Camp kids something to do who want to explore, this realm of performing. So it makes sense from a business perspective for them, because I'm sure this is dirt cheap for them to put on. And I'm sure more than paid for itself in merch and things like that. And ticket sales, because they sold out instantly. But yeah, we got that little encore at the end of the swing song. They came back out and just did the same thing again. It was still a bop. The whole show, downbeat to See You was about 45 minutes. So pretty short. And I left wanting more. I definitely left wanting more. It was really fun. It was fun fun in a way that I feel like I missed out on, when Babymetal was first kind of getting started. Right. The zaniness of when they were super young, that chaotic energy that they exude. If you watch those old videos, it was there, but it was more refined. So it was cool to get to experience that for sure.
That's awesome.
So did they actually leave with a see you?
No, they did not. Miko said, thank you for coming. Bye, basically. And then they just all kind of marched off.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one thing that's kind of cool about the current Babymetal shows, is that they are, in fact, leaving with See You again.
Mm-hmm.
They've brought
with
that
a little
back.
kick and everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, this Metalverse thing sounds. I still want to see what happens next. But
yeah,
I guess they have a Discord server, an official Discord like the one, and it turned into something like the one insofar as they've kind of closed off the public part and sold an NFT to get access to the other part. Don't know if that experiment is really working.
I would say no.
Yeah,
it's lawless over there.
Yeah, the NFTs don't cost enough, I think, is the problem. Too easy to get in.
But yeah, I guess maybe don't get super attached to the Metalverse performers, because they might not be there next time.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it sounded like, yeah.
I'm not unconvinced that Miko won't continue to headline and frontwoman this. Mostly because I don't know who else would in the Amuse stable of talent around that age. But I could definitely see the 4 people around her kind of coming in and out.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if the songs themselves will survive this episode.
Yeah, who knows?
Or whether each episode has different songs.
I think Maggie had the best theory on why they haven't released anything. Oh. And Maggie's theory was, they might bundle this with a Babymetal release as like a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was intriguing, and I could see them doing.
Basically, the theme of that being like what they had, the dark side, light side clashing during Metal Galaxy, having the Metalverse versus Babymetal's, universe clashing. And so having like a 2-part album, one bit with the actual Babymetal stuff, and then the second bit being like a side B bonus with the Metalverse tracks on it. So I think that would be a very, very good thing to have. But as depending on how they treat Metalverse project in the future, that could be a bonus. It could be better sold separately. So we'll see what happens.
But. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah. I am a little annoyed.
About what?
About not being able to listen to these songs again in high quality.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, just like Babymetal, they all had backing tracks, so they've been in the studio at some point.
Yeah, and I think a little bit of it was used in the promo videos too, right? I mean, so there do exist non-live versions of these.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's interesting. I'm excited to see where it goes. It's kind of fun not knowing and not being hyper attached, or at least having the expectation of don't get attached and don't try. It's the first time I think we've ever been told don't try and figure it out. It's not worth your time.
Yeah, you're going to be wrong no matter what.
Yep.
At one point I was thinking about like maybe what this is kind of like is, sort of like the Twilight Zone or whatever, where, there's from episode to episode, there's no consistent group of characters. It's just like a framework that you put things in. And so this is like one episode from that anthology show. Or it could be like there are also, the only show that came to mind for this was Miracle Workers. And I don't even know if you know that. It's kind of a, it's not a particularly widely known show, but it has, Harry Potter in it, right?
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe's in it.
Yeah.
And it's done through different, essentially generations. I've heard it's a good show.
Yeah, it's interesting, but, and there are several seasons, but each season is entirely disconnected. It's basically like an acting troupe, so the first season kind of fits with the title, but the other ones have nothing to do with the title, but it's the same actors playing completely different characters in a different story. And, so that's another way this could work. It could be, that the second episode, are we on episode 0 or 1 or I don't know what, but
this was episode 1,
that could
I think, unboxing.
Okay. So whatever episode 2 is, could contain it. Like maybe it has the same people, but doing something different.
Yeah, could be.
So
I, for one, would love to see them shred as the commie band. I think that'd be great.
that'd be different. Well, I don't know. Does Amuse have a stable of? Do they have a music school?
I had no idea. They put all their kid talent in Amuse Camp, which doesn't do anything, from what I can tell, at least publicly.
Right.
Not in the same way their other youth programs have. So, but unfortunately, I think the only way you're probably ever going to see this happen is if you venture out to Japan and get yourself a ticket. I would be shocked if they leave the country. Yeah,
I think that's probably right. There may be live things happening in Japan and maybe some access from outside just because, this is the Metalverse. So, yeah, I don't know. Is there more we wanted to say about this? Maybe we have now covered both.
I think we've covered it.
Both aspects of the shows we've been to. So,
well, there is kind of like one thing I do want to say, and I thought about it, but in the midst of Kevin's conversation, but some time ago, maybe about 2 or 3 recordings prior, I know we were having discussions about Babymetal's choreography and stuff, and me being kind of like, about it. People are out to change their minds. And and now having actually seen like Monochrome and Mirror Mirror live, them both being, the relatively new stuff, I can kind of see what Kevin was saying in regards to it, and also you, Paul, because you had said something as well. And their choreography does reflect a lot of the wording and their, like they have in the past too, I guess. And it was very sharp and just, it was matched to the song very well. So yeah, I take back what I said before. It's actually really, really good. And I mean, of course, because it is the same choreographer, you are going to see a lot of the same kind of elements in there in the way that they, do certain things. But as far as in relation to the song in and of itself, it is actually pretty good. So I apologize to both of you.
All right, we got it pretty good.
On that front. So
we'll take it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think it's probably in general, if you ever think you have some kind of a negative opinion of something, you will wind up changing your mind.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean you specifically. I mean you, everyone.
I know.
Anyone
I realize
here.
in general.
Plural you.
Yeah.
I know.
It occurs to me that one thing I didn't say back about the Babymetal shows is that so there is there's one slot in the shows that they have played different things in. So in Wallingford, we saw Mirror Mirror there. Before Wallingford, they had played Maya, and in Boston, they played Believing. So I've seen both Believing and Mirror Mirror in this tour, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
and they're both great.
Bopping between the 3, because I don't think they've played Metalism yet, which I'm really surprised. They're probably leaving that for the West Coast, but we'll see. But
yeah, I think that's likely to be the other option in that slot. but so far I don't think they've ever played anything but those three yet. At least in the BABYKLok tour. We have been getting a fair number of sort of post-show photos too. So the Wallingford one was kind of nice. They were in front of some sort of like, I don't know, it's almost like a postcard rendering, like postcard letters say, Wallingford on the wall, and they're standing
Welcome
underneath
to Wallingford.
Yeah.
It was kind of cute, actually.
Yeah. And where was the one? There was one where the venue had provided them with pretzels.
That was in
that
Philadelphia.
Had sort of spelled out it spelled out Babymetal. Like they had letters.
That was in Philly.
They somehow they contorted themselves in order to hold them, hold all whatever 8, 9 letters that is, in front of them, and so yeah, it was amusing and led to a lot of amusing fan art of which involved the letters that Mo was holding disappearing.
It's pretty cute
and so forth, but yeah, and New York has basically the three of them holding souvenir merch.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
It actually looks really weird, I have to say. Having Sue sitting there holding that flag.
It's funny because someone had mentioned it. It didn't even occur to me, but like Momo Metal's holding a pink "I Love New York" T-shirt, and I guess pink is a relation to peaches and Momo, but I don't know if that was reaching or not. But I'm like, oh, that's kind of cute.
Probably was reaching. That sounds like a reach to me.
Like a bit of a reach.
It's still cute anyway. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, her expression actually is very funny in that one. She's like challenging you to dispute the fact that she loves New York. It's a very funny expression. I don't know.
Yeah, because usually she's the one who's like teeth showing, just all smiles, and the other two are like they're smiling with their lips closed and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with the rest of this tour. It's still going to go on for quite some time. I think the next one is tomorrow. So probably, by the time you're hearing this, if you're not in the chat room, the Michigan shows will have happened, and the Toronto show, maybe even the Chicago show. How quick will it be? Who knows? But yeah. But yeah, so they're going to Chicago. They're doing the Louder Than Life Festival. Oh, we didn't talk about they failed to play on September 10th at the Blue Ridge Rock Festival because
that's right. We didn't
the festival
bring that
itself
up,
shut
that's
down.
Right.
Yes. Oh boy, that's a whole thing.
Yeah, and it seemed like actually, so some of the reporting at the from what was happening there was a little bit of weather at the beginning, but it also sounds like it was super mismanaged and all the staff quit.
It is also what I heard.
Exactly what
there was
happened.
no way it could have happened.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think they very much dodged a bullet. Having been scheduled on Sunday and then having it be canceled before they got there because it would have been miserable.
Yeah. Who was it? Was it Anthony or CJ? I can't remember. One of the two from the Commie Band was posting pictures, and it seems like they actually spent an extra day, and they went ahead and went to Philly and spent an extra day in Philly, just kind of chilling from what I could see. So that was nice. They needed an extra day.
Yeah. Well, and I think actually it would have taken them pretty far out of their way to go there too.
Oh yeah. It's just a weird choice.
The thing is, the festival is when it is and where it is, so they kind of had to make that fit in. But yeah, I mean, of course, there were a lot of people involved in the festival, and so a lot of other bands had issues. And there was somebody I've forgotten his name now, but there was someone who's like a sort of a management crew for one of the groups, and just sort of went on a little tirade on YouTube about what was happening.
Yeah, the team lead for Electric Cowboy did a whole entire YouTube video about it.
Oh, was that?
Tank the Tech. Tank the Tech is his name.
But and it sounded pretty bad. I mean, it was basically just impossible to get the equipment to where it needed to be in time, and like everybody was saying they're on it, and then nobody was on it. And so
and the venue itself was pretty much oversold too. I had a friend who went down there, and it was really terrible. And then weather was an issue. Like there was this huge hailstorm that came in and just blew everything up, and it was just god off. It was just awful. But yeah, the stories add up pretty well. So I'm really grateful. Hannah out of those who may be familiar with that band as well, was supposed to perform, and they canceled the thing like a couple hours before they were supposed to perform. They were in the midst of practicing, and they heard that they were canceling things. So they kind of, or thankfully didn't have to deal with that either. But
yeah. It's too bad that can happen. But yeah, it really sounds like this is a case where it was really very good that they didn't have to go. So
definitely
for the best.
And it's too bad for all the people who did manage to go. I thought about that because they're after Chicago going to the Louder Than Life Festival in Louisville, Kentucky, and then I guess Milwaukee, Minneapolis, St. Louis, Omaha, Denver, Salt Lake City, Vancouver. They jump into Canada again, Seattle, Aftershock, and Sacramento, and then the Kevin shows.
Yes.
So Las Vegas, Phoenix, and LA.
Yay!
As of the New York show yesterday, we've seen a few indications that they've given some interviews. So people taking pictures of, pictures with them after having done some kinds of interviews. So we should be getting some English language interviews.
Those who may be familiar with Babymetal of the past, Dina Distortion was able to make it to the New York City concert. So she posted a thing up on her Instagram. She's like, it's nice to see my Japanese family again. Everyone ready to headbang. And I was like really, really happy because I know that there was a whole thing with that. And she's no longer really involved with the music photography scene anymore. But it was nice to see her be there at that show. So it was nice.
Oh, also, AJ Hartley went to his first Babymetal show when it was in Atlanta, and he posted a little review of that.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so he's been like following them for a long time, deconstructing the lyrics and the songs and that kind of stuff. And some of us did the panel at Dragon Con with him, but he hadn't seen them live. And it turned out that they passed through Atlanta at the same time as Dragon Con, so he was able to sort of combine both things. And he put a review up, review video up, and unsurprisingly, he was impressed and enjoyed it. But yeah.
Good deal.
Anyway, yeah, lot to look forward to. We can continue to follow along the fan cams of the rest of the shows through the middle of October. I think the tour ends about when the Clear Night ships.
Yeah, and also the just a quick reminder sort of thing now that you mentioned that they also are doing a live ship stream of both Clear Night, Black Night, and Clear Night at the same time. It's October 9th and 11th. So they are offering that. That is a worldwide thing. You buy tickets for, if you are a part of the one, they are doing an NFT with that. If you decide to buy that variation of the ticket, I think it's the same price as a regular ticket, I think.
Yeah.
And then there's special little chat room things you can get as well along with that. But you get to stream it live with everybody else, essentially. So.
And then 2 days later, the Blu-ray arrives.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I do have the live ship tickets. Of course I do, but it won't, you won't, the bit rate will be sub what you'll see just a couple of days later. So, but yeah, no, it's cool. There lots of stuff happening. I don't know what happens after October. I guess they have a little bit of a break, I hope.
Yeah, because the UK/Euro tour starts in November, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah. Let's see. When are your shows? Your shows are the
second week of October.
So yeah, I don't know. We may record between now and then. Maybe we can update on the antics in the shows. Maybe we can talk about the several interviews that have come out.
The interviews are way worth it. We really do need to record on those, I think.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to cover here, or should we call it at something like an hour and a half in?
I think we're there.
But all right. Well, thanks everyone for showing up in the chat room. Thanks everyone for showing up behind the microphones in the team here. So that is it for this episode. You can join us on the Baby Metal Podcast Discord to continue the conversation. Rating the podcast on whatever platform you listen on will help people find it, so please do that. We'll be back here in probably 2 weeks-ish, and we hope you'll join us then. And until then, see you.